All I knew when I was younger is that I wanted to be an actor. And I don't know how it came into my mind or my body. I just knew that I had to do it. And now all of a sudden I get to live my dream.
Wow.
Then my dream took a rest. There was a lull. And so I met Lynn Oliver and I started writing children's books. And then all of a sudden that became a career. So what I learned was you have no idea what you can do until you put one foot in front of the other instead of trying to talk yourself out of it. That's what I learned.
I love that.
You moved to LA with very little money, very few connections,
$1,000.
and against the seemingly better judgment of everyone, including one of your agents who literally told you that she thought it was a mistake.
Can you believe it? She said, it's going to be hard to sell you. I said, that's a $1,000, 3,000-mile mistake you've just made.
Right. But then you went to this little audition
I did.
that changed your life.
I did.
Tell us about that audition.
Okay, so first of all, I was lucky enough. My parents called me dummer Hund. For those of you who don't know what that means, in German it means dumb dog. Very supportive human being. Yeah, dumb dog. So they said it was going to be very hard for you to meet your dream. So I go to California, $1,000. My agent said, well, it's going to be very hard to sell you. And I said, are you going to send me on an audition? And they sent me on an audition. And at Yale, you did not do television because it went against your aesthetic grain. Because we were trained for the theater. You know what I mean? The holy water. And so I went for this audition. Everybody was famous except for me. And I went into this room. There were 11 people: Gary Marshall, Tom Miller, Eddie Milkis, and Millie Gussie was the head of. She sat behind a desk that I think was on risers, because very powerful woman. When she stepped out, no, very powerful woman. And I had 6 lines. And something changed in my imagination. And I just, I saw Pasquale, the man who was going to read the other part with me, look at me. Hey, what are you looking at? Hey, don't you ever cast your eyes upon myself. All right? And do not touch this leather. All right, you. All right, let's go. And I had 6 lines. And on my birthday, October 30th, in 1973, before I got on the plane, they said, would you like to play this role? And I said, yes, if I can show the emotionality when he's not wearing his jacket. And I'm here today. This is what I've learned. This is what I put in the book. I didn't know what I was going to do after the Fonz. And I sat in my office. I had an office at Paramount Studios. Wow, this is great. But I had no plan B. And I had a pain in my soul about, I don't know what to do now. When you don't know what to do, don't do anything, because you're percolating it and it will come up, it will come.
Well, it came to you with Barry.
Yes, but before that, I became a producer out of need. I wasn't getting hired as an actor. Be flexible. Because again, I'm going to go back to what I first said to you. You don't know what you can accomplish until you try.
One foot in front.
And you are so...
That's right.
You are so willing to talk your way out of it. I talked my way out of doing the play with Neil Simon, out of playing Scrooge, out of being a producer. Oh, you can't do that. You're dyslexic. You're stupid. And then when you just try it, you go, oh, there are parts of this I can do.
I thought that I would be perhaps a writer. Well, I suppose I am a writer, but I didn't think that I was going to be an actor. From quite early on, I thought I would try to be a comedian. I wanted to be somebody like Lily Tomlin, who wrote with Jane Wagner her own material and did shows that were character-based. That was the area I was interested in. went to university, I studied English. I met Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Robbie Coltrane, Ben Elton. We all did comedy together, sketch comedy, for 2 years after I left university. At the very least, I did my own sketch show, I did musical theatre, I did mime, I did all sorts of stuff. I didn't act until I was 27 years old. And then even then it was by accident. Robbie was doing a thing called Tutti Frutti. John Byrne had written it. It's a Scottish character. They said, we need someone who can do the accent. My mum's Scottish. I happened to know Robbie. He said, do you want to come and meet them? And it happened by accident. And I didn't know how to do it. I'd not been trained and I was quite nervous. And I thought, oh, well, I suppose it's just like doing a sketch, only for longer. Which is exactly what it turned out to be. Preparation, it depends on the part. There was so much information about this woman, so I ingested as much information as I could over a period of 6 months, listened to everything, watched everything, read everything. Then the trick is to let go of all of that information, because you've got to trick your psyche into pretending that it's someone else. And you can't do that by being conscious of being that person. So it's a very odd magic trick. You know, it's more like a magician's trick than anything else, I think. Never let yourself be defined by how you look. Never do that, because it'll be over soon and you won't develop. So it's just over. So if people go on and on about how you look, you have to challenge it. You can't just take it in, you have to challenge it. You have to put up a barrier against that, and you have to exist as a person and a character and a brain. And that counts for boys as well. But it's particularly bad for girls at the moment because they seem to be required to be models as well as acts. If someone asks you or says to you that you have to be thinner, then you have to challenge them by saying, why? Is my character a thin person? Is my character thin because they are suffering from some sort of eating disorder? Give me a reason. Because if this is a cosmetic reason, then what you want is a model and not an actress. So be firm and know who you are and what you are, because you are not a model. That is, other people do that and they do it very well. And it's a difficult job. So don't be put upon and do not feel as though that's how you have to be, because it's not true. And the more of us who counteract that, the more it will go. As for the rest, don't ever desire to be a star. Fame is a byproduct of what you do. It's just an accident. What you do, you must do because you love it, because you enjoy it, because you're good at it, because people enjoy watching you. Anything else is by the by, really. And we're all very lucky if we get work, and good work. So make your choices carefully, and don't do things just because they might pay well. Do the things that really interest you. Do mad, wild things. Go off, do strange things. Develop yourself, challenge yourself.
I was taking the train up from San Diego every other day to go to acting school here in LA. You know, once I had the guts to come up and do it, once I went to my first class, that was it. I said, this is it. I love this. This is the most exciting thing. I was really shy, so it took me a long time to get up and do the exercises and things. I always, you know, my teacher had to be like, okay, Mark, you're the only one in the class who hasn't gotten up to work. You know, it was an environment that was very steeped in literature and history, the kind of history of acting and theater. And I started taking the train up, and it was a 2-hour drive. We were broke, so I was a busboy on the nights that I didn't go to school, and I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning to catch the 5:15 train to LA. I'd roll out of the train, get on a bus, and bus it up to Stella Adler in Hollywood, which was crack alley central during that time. I'd do that all day. I had like 5 classes, and then I would take the bus back down to Union Station. So I'd get home at 11:30 or like 1 in the morning. But I couldn't have been more happy in a way. You know, I could read on the train and study the plays and learn my lines. And I was at Stella Adler, so it was, great talking about art and history and the history of acting and how important it was to be an artist. And that was, I was like, this is where I am. I didn't have that kind of confidence that I thought it was a profession, I was hoping that I could learn to do it, and it was something that I felt like I could do. But the idea of making money at it and just looking around Los Angeles at that time, it just seemed like a world that was I was locked out of. You know, you look at so many reflective surfaces in LA, you know, and everywhere you look, there's some distorted version of yourself, you know. I was kind of hiding out there, saying that I was doing something with my life, something that I would love to do, but never really felt I had the confidence or what it took to make it a living. You know, in time, I sort of figured out how to act, you know. I was there for like 7 years. You know, during that time, I started a little theater company there, and I was working on the great plays, and I was studying acting, and you know, I started to figure out how to act, honestly, on a stage, and with the help of what I learned from the school. You know, I was going on all the acting, you know, television commercials, whatever little crappy like industrial films I could find. I did a play. I got a little agent, a tiny little agent, a kid's agent. I was like her oldest client. I was going out on these auditions. I wasn't getting anything. I was scoring on the very small level that I could in Los Angeles theater. I was scoring in that world. I was getting some nice notices here and there. Other actors were like, "Hey, I think you're really good," or you know, and I started to build this little theater career. I did 30 plays in the 14 years that I was struggling here, and I got to play all the great young parts to like an audience of 10, my closest friends and family. I made the mistake of mentioning that I was doing theater whenever I'd go in an audition. It took me a long time to realize that if you're doing theater in LA and you told that to a casting director in LA, they immediately thought you were a loser. Do not tell a casting director in LA that you've done any theater in LA. You're better in coming in and telling them that you've just been surfing and just smoked a bowl, and here I am. It really took my career to have any kind of a leap, was going to New York and doing a play in New York. Well, I had my tonally bitter period as a young actor. You know, I was bartending. Every young, hot Hollywood actor I was serving drinks to, they were tipping me badly, and they were walking home with all the hot girls. And I couldn't understand, like, dude, how are you here tonight? You're shooting a movie, and you're out till 4 in the morning, and here I am. I'm handing out my little flyers to my plays. I don't know how many trees I wasted during that time period. They no one ever came to them. So yeah, I was like, the fuck, man? Where's my outsiders? Where's my rumblefish? And I had that, you know, but that kind of bitterness and entitlement and all that is, it's useless. No one wants to see you hear it and be around it. I mean, everyone has to work hard, some people harder than others. I started to become more appreciative, and my attitude got better, and as that perception switched, I definitely was seen in a better light, I think, in the industry.
So many of us came from the theater, and so we were accustomed to doing a performance and having a communal relationship with audiences where we put work out and we could feel the audience's response. And so it really allowed us to be in community with our audiences, and they felt like they were part of our world, we felt like we were part of their world. And I think that is the magic of theater, is that for me, there is something truly, truly profound, and that's not an overstatement. There is really something profound about the ritual of sitting in a room, in a dark room, and sharing air and time to go on an emotional journey together. You know, time is our greatest commodity. And when you say to somebody, I want you to put your life on hold for 90 minutes, or someplace 4 hours, but ours is 90 minutes, for 90 minutes, and come and make this world your reality just for the next 90 minutes, there's a real magic to that we all go on this journey as if it's the first time, because it's their first time. And I consider it sacred. So, I'm really grateful to be back on Broadway and be in that kind of community with audiences again. Doing theater is the most athletic thing you can do as an actor, because your audience, you know, when you do film and television, your audience is here. It's where the camera is, and you really only have to convey that truth to that camera. But in the theater, you have to convey the truth to all 1,000 people in every seat, and you need to make sure everybody can hear you and feel you, not just hear the words, but feel. So it is a very athletic experience, and I try to treat myself like an athlete during this time. I mean, in the way that I eat, in the way that I exercise, in the way that I sleep. You know, I do preventative work with doctors a couple times a week, acupuncture. I mean, I just really try to stay on top. And even when I'm doing that, it doesn't always work. You know, in the play we're doing now, it's really like 90 minutes of fight or flight for me on my body. You know, just like, you feel like I feel like I'm dropped into a nightmare 8 times a week, and I have to be willing for my body to not know the difference. And so that's the part that's really stressful, is that I'm lying to my body. I'm saying to my body, this is the reality. And so I notice, you know, when I walk off stage, that my heart is beating very fast, that I will sometimes have stress headaches, because the body doesn't know the difference. The body can't tell. So I would try to sort of say, it's okay, we're not really in panic, everybody's fine.
I work just, you know, from my interior on all I have to call on really to fill out any character I play is not only the text and their history of the character I'm playing and all of that, you sort of explore it, but is to bring my own experience, my own life experience in pieces, and, you know, I might interpret it differently, but that's, I mean, in my way of thinking, that's what actors have to give. That's what invites all of you into my life experience. And I know the reason I've done it for almost 60 years, and even before that in high school and everything, junior high, is because I feel less alone. As humans, I feel, even when I'm with my family and all of that, there is some knot inside of me that stays lonely. Yeah. Unless I'm acting. Yeah. And I'm speaking to you. Yeah. And I don't know that I am, but I am. Yeah. And I feel less alone. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me.